The night sky above the ruined planet was painted in fire. Broken ships burned in the distance, their flames floating like dying stars. Smoke covered the air, and the ground shook with the echo of old battles. A human warrior walked among the wreckage. His name was Commander Arik Kane, known for his strength and his loyalty to the Human Federation. His armor was heavy with scratches, his face covered in dirt and blood. He had survived another fight, but victory felt empty. The planet was silent now. Too silent. Every step he took crunched on broken metal and bones. His orders were clear. Search the ruins, kill any alien survivors. The war had lasted for years. The enemy, called the Zeralians, had killed millions of humans. They were monsters. That is what he had always believed. Arik moved carefully, his plasma rifle ready. His heart was cold, his mind focused. He told himself, "If I find one of them, I will end it fast." Then, he heard something. A soft sound. Not the roar of a beast, not the echo of machines. It was a cry. Arik stopped. His eyes narrowed. He followed the sound through the ruins of a collapsed building. Dust fell from broken walls as he pushed through. The sound grew clearer, weak, trembling, almost human. And then he saw her, an alien girl. She lay on the ground, half buried under rubble. Her skin glowed faintly in the dim light, pale silver with lines of blue shining like rivers under her flesh. Her long dark hair was tangled, her face bruised. Her eyes, large and bright like twin galaxies, looked up at him with fear. Arik froze. This was the enemy, a Zeralian. His enemy. His duty was to pull the trigger. Yet his finger hesitated. The girl whispered something in her language. Her voice was soft, almost broken. She tried to crawl away, but she was too weak. Blood stained her side where a shard of metal had cut deep. Arik raised his weapon. His chest felt heavy. He remembered the screams of his people, the bodies he had buried, the endless war. This creature is not innocent, he told himself. She is the reason my brothers are dead. But her eyes, they did not look like the eyes of a monster. They looked like the eyes of someone scared, someone who wanted to live. The silence between them stretched. The flames outside painted their shadows, long on the broken walls. His weapon shook slightly in his hand. "Why can't I shoot?" he muttered under his breath. The girl coughed, whispering again. This time, the words were broken, but he recognized them. She spoke in human tongue. "Rough and strange, please. Don't..." Arik's heart pounded. How could she know his language? Why would she beg instead of fight? He lowered the rifle just an inch, enough to make his mind scream. Fool. She will kill you if you turn away. Yet she didn't move. Her weak hand reached out, not for a weapon, but as if to shield herself. Tears shined in her strange, glowing eyes. Arik cursed under his breath. He knelt slowly, his instincts battling against his orders. He pressed his armored hand against her wound to stop the bleeding. She gasped but did not resist. The warrior looked down at her and felt something he had not felt in years. Doubt. For the first time, he wondered, is the enemy really what they told us? Are they demons? Or are they just like us? The sky rumbled, again with distant explosions. The war was still raging, but here in this ruined place, it was only him and her. The alien girl's breathing slowed. She whispered one last word, her voice fragile but clear. Alive. And then she fainted. Arik sat in silence, his hand still pressed against her wound, his weapon lying forgotten on the ground beside him. His orders told him to finish her. His heart told him something else. The battle outside was over, but inside him, a new battle had just begun. The alien girl was unconscious, her breathing shallow. Arik sat in the ruins staring at her. His orders rang in his head. No mercy, no survivors. Yet here he was, keeping her alive. He shook his head, frustrated. Damn it, he whispered, lifting her carefully. She was light, fragile in his armored arms. The glow of her strange blue veins pulsed faintly, like a weak heartbeat. His comm device crackled. Static. No signal. The crash had destroyed the relay. If he wanted extraction, he needed to reach the human base on the far side of the planet. That meant a long journey through deadly territory. Alone, he could move fast. With her, it was impossible. He looked at her face again. Her lips trembled in fevered sleep. Something inside him hardened. I should leave her here. It's the smart choice. It's the right choice. But his legs refused to drop her. The next hours were a blur. Arik searched the ruins for supplies. He found a broken med kit, a half-dead flashlight, and scraps of energy rations. Nothing more. The planet was dead, burned by war, crawling with scavenger beasts. Survival was a gamble. He built a small fire in the hollow of a collapsed bunker. The flames threw shadows across the cracked walls. The alien girl stirred, groaning softly. Her eyes opened, bright galaxies staring at him. For a moment, neither moved. Then she whispered, voice raw, "Why? Help me?" Arik didn't answer. He stared into the fire, jaw tight. "You are human warrior," she said in broken English. "Your people, kill mine. And yours, kill mine," he snapped. His voice was cold, but inside he felt strange. Guilt. She tried to sit up, pain twisting her face. "So why not finish it?" Arik looked at her. He had no answer, only silence. Before he could speak, the ground shook violently. The bunker walls groaned. A distant roar echoed through the night. Arik's eyes widened. "Move!" he barked, grabbing his rifle. The alien girl looked terrified. "Shadow beasts," she whispered. From the darkness, glowing eyes appeared. Massive, shapes slithered closer, their bodies like armored serpents, jaws full of razor teeth. Arik cursed. Alone he might handle one. But three were approaching. The first beast lunged, its scream shaking the air. Arik fired, plasma rounds burning through its hide. The second darted from the side, but before it struck, the alien girl raised her hand. A burst of shimmering energy exploded from her palm, throwing the creature back. Arik's jaw tightened. She's a fighter. Even half dead, she's dangerous. The third beast crashed against the bunker wall, shattering stone. Dust filled the air. Arik and the girl fought together, his rifle blasting, her strange power striking with glowing force. At last, the beasts retreated, hissing into the dark. The bunker trembled, then collapsed partly, sealing them in dust and rubble. Coughing, Arik pulled himself up. His armor was dented, his body aching. The alien girl leaned against the wall, face pale. For the first time, they looked at each other not as enemies, but as survivors. "You saved me," she whispered. "And you saved me," Arik admitted reluctantly. His voice softened. "Seems we're stuck together." The bunker was broken, unsafe. They had to move before the beasts returned. Arik helped her walk, though she stumbled with every step. Her skin was hot with fever. "Name," she said weakly. He glanced at her. "What?" "Your name. Human warrior. Name." "Arik," he muttered. She nodded slowly. "I am Soraya." Arik almost smiled. The sound of her name felt strange on his tongue, but real. They walked through the wasteland for hours. Burned forests, shattered cities. Rivers turned black with ash. Everywhere the scars of war. Soraya spoke little, saving her strength, but sometimes she asked small questions. About Earth, about why humans fought. Her voice was curious, not hateful. Arik gave short answers. He didn't trust her. He couldn't. Yet every time he looked at her, something gnawed inside him. She was alien, yes, but her pain, her fear, her will to live, all felt human. By nightfall, they found a cave to rest. Arik lit another fire. Soraya sat close, her silver skin glowing in the flame. For a moment, they looked like two travelers instead of sworn enemies. "You will take me to your people," she said quietly. "That's the plan," Arik answered. "They will kill me." Arik said nothing. His hands tightened on his rifle. She was right. The Federation would never let her live. He stared into the fire, troubled. His duty was clear, but his heart was not. Outside, the wind howled across the dead planet. Inside the cave, silence grew heavy between them. Two enemies, forced together by fate. Two strangers who had saved each other's lives. And for the first time, Arik wondered, was she truly his enemy, or the only ally he had left? The cave was dark and cold. The fire Arik had built flickered weakly, sending shadows crawling along the walls. Outside, the alien wind howled like a warning. Arik sat near the entrance, rifle resting on his knees. His eyes stayed on the darkness, scanning for movement. Beside the fire, Soraya lay wrapped in a torn blanket he had found. She slept uneasily, her glowing veins dim, her breathing shallow. He told himself he should not care. She was his enemy. A prisoner. But every time her body shook with fever, he added more wood to the fire. Every time she whispered in her sleep, he felt a strange pull in his chest. The silence stretched. Too long. Too heavy. Then suddenly, Soraya's voice broke it. "You do not sleep," she said quietly. Her accent was sharp, her English still broken, but her words clear. "Soldiers don't sleep easy," Arik answered. Her bright eyes studied him from the firelight. "Because of war. Because of memories," he muttered. His jaw tightened. He didn't want to talk. Not with her. Not with an enemy. But Soraya pushed again. "What memories?" Arik looked at her, eyes cold. "You don't want to know." Soraya lowered her gaze. For a while there was only the crackle of fire. Then she whispered, "I lost my family in this war." Arik's breath caught. He turned to her sharply. Her face was calm, but her voice trembled. "My mother, my sister, my home. Burned. Destroyed." She touched her chest lightly. "All gone." Arik swallowed hard. For years he had thought of Xyralians as monsters. Now, sitting across from one who spoke of pain like his own, the image cracked. He wanted to speak. Tell her of his brother lost in the siege, of his friends buried under alien fire. But the words stuck. Instead, he stood, moving to the cave mouth. "Get some rest," he said. His voice was rougher than he meant. The next morning, they continued their journey. The wasteland stretched endless and broken. Black sand, jagged rocks, skies choked with smoke. Arik walked ahead, rifle in hand. Soraya stumbled behind, her body weak but her will sharp. She refused his help at first, but when she nearly fell, on the rocks he caught her arm. "Careful," he said. She pulled away quickly. "I am not weak." Arik smirked faintly. "Could have fooled me." Her eyes narrowed, glowing with quiet fire. "And you are not as cold as you pretend." Words struck deeper than she knew. Arik's smile faded. He walked on in silence, but her voice stayed in his mind. By midday, they reached the ruins of an old human outpost. Rusted metal towers leaned against the wind. Broken machines lay scattered like skeletons. Arik entered first, scanning. The silence was wrong, too still. "Stay close," he ordered. Soraya frowned. "Why?" That was when the attack came. From the shadows, scavenger raiders burst out, human deserters twisted by greed. Their armor was stolen, their weapons crude but deadly. Their eyes were wild, desperate. "Drop the gun, soldier," one shouted, aiming a blaster. "Supplies in the girl, now!" Arik's stance hardened. "You want to fight, you'll get one." The raiders charged. Plasma fire lit the ruins. Arik fired back, every shot precise, dropping two instantly. But more poured in, circling. One raider grabbed Soraya, dragging her back. She cried out, struggling. Arik turned, fury flashing in his eyes. "Let her go!" he roared, blasting the attacker down. The others swarmed him. A blade slashed across his armor, sparks flying. Arik fought like a storm, rifle swinging, fists striking. Soraya, cornered, raised her trembling hand. A surge of blue energy exploded outward, hurling raiders into the walls. Her power cracked the ground itself. For a moment, the battlefield froze. Even Arik stared. He had seen Xyralian weapons before. But this was different. Her energy was raw, alive. The raiders, frightened now, fled into the wasteland. Silence returned, broken only by Arik's heavy breathing. He turned to Soraya. She swayed on her feet, weak from the effort. He caught her before she fell. "You saved me, again," he said softly. She looked at him, eyes tired but proud. "Now we are even." Arik's lips twitched, almost a smile. "Not sure it works that way." As night fell again, they camped among the ruins. Arik patched the cuts on his arms. Soraya sat nearby, her glow faint in the darkness. "Why use your strength for me?" she asked suddenly. Arik paused. "What do you mean?" "You could leave me. I am your enemy. Easier alone." Her eyes searched his. "But you fight for me." Arik exhaled slowly. He didn't have an answer. Or maybe he did, but didn't want to admit it. Finally, he said, "Because I don't leave people behind, not anymore." Soraya tilted her head, watching him quietly. In her gaze, he saw no hatred, only something new, something dangerous. Trust. Later, as they rested, the stars broke through the smoke for the first time. Arik sat awake, staring at them. Soraya leaned against the ruined wall, her voice soft. "The stars. Same sky for you and me," she whispered. Arik looked at her, really looked. For the first time, she didn't seem alien. She seemed alive, fragile, real. And in that quiet moment, he realized the war had already changed for him. The enemy was no longer just the enemy. She was Soraya. The ruins were silent after the battle with the raiders. Only the crackle of a small fire broke. The stillness. Arik sat cross-legged, cleaning his rifle with slow, steady hands. Across from him, Soraya rested against a wall, her glowing skin pale with exhaustion. The flames painted their faces in orange light. For hours, neither spoke. They didn't need to. The night itself carried enough weight. Finally, Soraya's voice broke the quiet, soft, curious. "Why do you always sit so far from me?" Arik looked up, surprised by the question. "Because I don't trust you," he answered flatly. Her glowing eyes studied him. "Yet you saved me again and again." Arik's hands stilled. He thought of the battlefield, of pulling her away from danger, of her powers blasting enemies aside. He wanted to tell her it was instinct, just survival. But deep inside, he knew it wasn't only that. "You confuse me," he muttered. Soraya tilted her head. "Confuse?" Arik nodded. "You're supposed to be my enemy, but every time I look at you, I don't see a monster. I see someone fighting to live, just like me." Her lips curved slightly. A sad smile. "Maybe war makes us both monsters. Maybe not." The firelight flickered. For the first time, Arik noticed details about her. How the blue glow beneath her skin pulsed softly with her heartbeat. How her hair caught the firelight like strands of midnight silk. He forced himself to look away, jaw tight. "Don't forget what she is." Soraya leaned closer to the fire, warming her trembling hands. "When I was a child," she said suddenly, "I thought humans were stories, beasts from the dark. My mother told me, if I was bad, a human soldier would come in the night." Arik snorted bitterly. "Your people told the same lies we were told about you?" Her gaze lifted to his. "And now, do you still believe the lie?" Arik didn't answer right away. He stared into the fire, remembering faces, his fallen comrades, the endless battles. Then he looked back at her. I don't know what to believe anymore. The silence that followed was not cold this time. It was fragile, like thin glass that might break with one wrong word. Soraya leaned back, her body trembling with fever. Arik frowned. He moved closer, despite himself. You're burning up, he muttered. He took the med kit, clumsy but careful as he checked her wound. She flinched at his touch, then relaxed when she realized his hands were gentle. Strange, she whispered. A human warrior, healing me. Arik gave a half smile. Don't get used to it. Their eyes met, closer now than ever before. His heart thudded. He pulled back quickly, shaking his head as if to clear it. Hours later, the fire dimmed. The wasteland was quiet, but danger always lurked. Arik stayed awake, keeping watch. Soraya stirred in her sleep, whispering something in her own language. Her face twisted with pain, tears sliding down her silver cheeks. Against his better judgment, Arik reached out and touched her shoulder gently. It's all right, he said softly, though she couldn't hear. You're safe. To his surprise, her breathing eased. Her body relaxed as if his voice reached her even in dreams. For a long time he sat there watching her sleep, the enemy. And yet, not. Morning came with harsh light through the broken walls. They ate the last of the energy rations in silence. Soraya studied him between bites. Why do you never smile? Arik raised a brow. Soldiers don't smile, much in war. Then maybe you should try, she said gently. Just once, Arik scoffed. And what would I smile at? The broken world around us? She held his gaze. At the fact, you are not alone anymore. The words hit him harder than any weapon. He had been alone for so long, surrounded by soldiers yet never truly close to anyone. And here, in the ruins of war, his enemy said, the one thing he didn't know he needed to hear. For the first time in years, a small, reluctant smile touched his lips. Soraya's eyes lit up. See? Not so cold. Arik rolled his eyes, but his chest felt lighter. That night, as they made camp, again a new danger lurked. Strange insect-like creatures swarmed the rocks nearby, their glowing eyes watching silently. Arik and Soraya prepared for a fight, but the creatures stayed back, circling, waiting. They smell weakness, Soraya whispered. Then they'll smell a fight, Arik growled. The creatures didn't attack, not yet. They waited in the shadows. And so Arik and Soraya sat back to back, weapons ready, keeping each other alive through another night. In that moment, surrounded by enemies, they found an unspoken truth. Neither trusted fully. Neither forgot the war. But both knew, without each other, they wouldn't survive. And survival had a strange way of breaking walls. The wasteland stretched for endless miles. Dust storms swept across the ground, cutting at skin like blades. Arik and Soraya walked slowly, their bodies weak, their supplies almost gone. Each step felt heavier than the last. On the horizon, something rose into view. A tall structure, broken but still standing. A comm tower. Arik's heart jumped. Finally. If the tower still worked, he could send a signal to the Human Federation. Rescue ships would come. He would be saved. His duty would be complete. But his eyes shifted to Soraya. She walked beside him, her movements slow, her body trembling with fever and exhaustion. If humans came, they would kill her instantly. No questions. No mercy. For the first time in his life, Arik felt the weight of a choice heavier than any weapon. They reached the base of the tower at dusk. The air buzzed with static, the metal skeleton humming faintly. Arik inspected the controls. Old, damaged, but still functional. With a few adjustments, he could send a signal across the stars. Soraya stood a few feet away, watching. Her eyes glowed faintly in the fading light. This place, dangerous for me, she whispered. Arik didn't answer. His hands worked over the console, but his chest felt tight. Finally, Soraya stepped closer. "If you call them," she said, softly, "your people will kill me." Arik's jaw clenched. "It's my duty." Her gaze didn't waver. "And your heart?" The words cut through him like a blade. He turned away, fists tightening on the metal. "You don't understand. I've fought this war for years. I've lost everything. If I go against my orders, then you are no longer their soldier," Soraya finished for him. Her voice was calm, but her eyes burned. "You are free to choose." Arik's breath caught. No one had ever said that to him. He had lived his whole life under orders: obey, kill, survive. Never once had he thought about freedom. The air grew heavier, charged with silence. Then a sudden crackle of static burst from the console. A weak human voice came through. "This is Federation Command. Identify yourself." Arik froze. His heart pounded. His rescue was one word away. He looked at Soraya. She stood still, her glowing eyes locked on him. She didn't beg. She didn't run. She just watched, as if ready to accept whatever choice he made. Arik's mouth went dry. His finger hovered over the transmitter. Duty screamed at him, "Say your name. Save yourself. Complete the mission." His heart whispered, "If you do this, she dies." The war inside him raged louder than any battlefield. Suddenly, a distant rumble shook the ground. Arik's head snapped up. Shadows moved across the horizon, ships descending, not human, but Zeralian. Soraya's face paled. "My people, they come," Arik cursed under his breath. He had minutes, maybe less, before they arrived. If he called the humans now, both fleets might clash above the planet. The war would burn hotter, deadlier, the choice twisted even sharper. Soraya stepped closer, her voice soft but firm. "If you let them find me, I will not survive. You know this." Arik stared at her. He saw not a monster, not the enemy he had been taught to hate. He saw the girl who had healed him, fought beside him, shared firelight and silence. The girl who had cracked the wall around his heart. His throat tightened. "Why do you trust me? After all my people have done?" Soraya's lips trembled, but her eyes held steady. "Because you are not like them. You saved me. Again and again. I do not know why, but I believe. You will not let me die." Arik's hand shook above the transmitter. His whole life had been duty. His whole identity had been the soldier. But now he wasn't sure who he was. The console buzzed again. "Unidentified signal, respond," the human voice demanded. Arik closed his eyes. Images flashed. His brother, his comrades, the burning cities of Earth. And then Soraya, her eyes glowing like galaxies, her voice saying, "You are free to choose." When he opened his eyes, his decision was made. Arik slammed his fist into the console, sparks flying. The transmitter shattered, the signal cut off. Silence filled the air. Soraya gasped, staring at him in disbelief. You destroyed it." Arik breathed heavily, his chest tight, his heart pounding like war drums. "I chose you." For a moment, the world seemed to stop. Soraya's lips parted, her eyes wide with shock. Then slowly, they softened. "You chose me," she whispered. But there was no time to savor the moment. The ground shook as Zyralian dropships landed nearby, engines screaming. The war had come to them once more. Arik raised his rifle, his face hard. "This isn't over." Not by a long shot. Soraya stepped beside him, her glowing hands lighting with power. For the first time, they stood not as enemies, not as strangers, but as something else, allies, and maybe something more. The night sky roared with fire as the Zeralian ships descended. Their sleek black hulls glowed with blue light, shadows stretching across the wasteland. Dust storms rose in their wake, swallowing everything in a choking haze. Arik tightened his grip on his rifle. His heart pounded, but his mind was clear. He had destroyed the transmitter. There was no going back, no rescue from the Federation. Only Soraya, and now, her people. Soraya stood beside him, her glowing hands trembling with power. Her face was pale, caught between fear and something deeper. Conflict. "They are my people," she whispered, her voice breaking. "But they will see you as prey." Arik smirked grimly. "Let them try." Before she could answer, the ground shook. The dropships landed in a circle around them. Dozens of Xyralian warriors emerged, their armor shining like silver glass, weapons humming with deadly energy. Arik raised his rifle, ready for a hopeless fight, but Soraya stepped in front of him. "Wait," she whispered. The Xyralian commander strode forward, tall and imposing. His armor bore glowing sigils of rank. His eyes, brighter than Soraya's, locked on her. "Soraya," he said in their tongue, his voice deep, commanding. "You live." She lowered her gaze. "Yes, Commander Veyer." The commander's eyes shifted to Arik, cold, sharp, hateful. "And you bring a human with you? A warrior of the enemy?" The circle of Xyralians hissed, their weapons rising. Arik stood tall, rifle steady, but he knew the truth. He was outnumbered, outgunned. One mistake, and he was dead. Soraya stepped forward quickly. "He saved me," she said. Her voice shook, but her eyes were firm. "Again and again. Without him, I would not stand here." Veyor's gaze hardened. "Then he is useful, until he is not. Kill him." Arik's finger tightened on the trigger. His heart raced. This was it. But then, Soraya. "Moved! No!" she cried. Her hands flared with blue energy, a barrier forming between Arik and the soldiers. The ground cracked under her power. "If you want him dead, you must go through me." The warriors froze in shock. Arik's eyes widened. "Soraya," he whispered. Veyer's expression turned to rage. "You defy your people for him?" Soraya's chest heaved, but she didn't move. "He is not what you told us humans were. He is more. He is—" She faltered, her eyes flicking to Arik. "Mine to protect." Arik's heart slammed against his chest. The commander snarled. "You are blinded. The human has poisoned you." "Maybe," Soraya answered softly. "Or maybe I see the truth now." With a roar, Veyer gestured. The Xyralian soldiers surged forward. Soraya threw her arms out, her energy exploding into a wave of light that sent them crashing back. The battlefield lit up like lightning. Arik fought at her side, rifle spitting fire. Every shot was precise, covering her as she unleashed her strange, raw power. Together, they cut through the circle of warriors, but there were too many. A blast struck Arik's chest, knocking him to the ground. His armor smoked, pain tearing through him. His rifle skidded away. Soraya screamed, her power erupting brighter than ever. She hurled the attackers back, her veins glowing like molten rivers. She ran to Arik, dropping to her knees. "Stay with me," she whispered, her hands glowing as she pressed them over his wound. Her energy poured into him, burning hot and cold at once. Arik gasped, eyes fluttering. Why? Why risk everything? Her eyes filled with tears. "Because I will not lose you." Veyer's voice cut through the storm. "Enough." He stepped forward, weapon glowing with deadly force. "Soraya, you shame your bloodline. You choose an enemy over your own people, then you are no longer one of us." The soldiers hesitated, watching. Soraya stood, placing herself fully between Arik and the commander. Her body shook, but her eyes were steady. Then so be it. For the first time, she felt no chains, no orders, only her own choice. Arik struggled to rise, pain searing through him. "Soraya." His voice was weak, but full of fire. "You don't have to fight them all. Not for me." Her gaze met his, soft but fierce. "I fight. Because of you." Not for orders, not for duty. For you. Arik's chest tightened, not from pain but from the weight of her words. Bayer raised his weapon, fury blazing. But before he could strike, a deafening explosion ripped through the air. The ground shook violently. One of the Zeralian dropships burst into flames. From the clouds above, streaks of plasma fire rained down. Arik's heart sank. Human ships. The Federation had arrived after all. The battlefield turned chaotic. Zeralians scattered, firing into the sky. Human ships roared overhead, unleashing destruction. Caught between two armies, Arik and Soraya stood together, trapped in the storm. Amid the chaos, Arik gripped her arm. "We have to move. Now." She nodded, tears and fire in her eyes. They ran. Through the wreckage, side by side, the war crashing down around them. Human soldiers and Zeralians tore into each other, their hatred filling the air with screams and fire. But in the center of it all, a human warrior and an alien girl fled, not enemies, not strangers, something far more dangerous together. The battlefield was a storm of fire. Human ships rained plasma from the skies, while Zeralian forces fought back with glowing cannons. The ruined land shook under the weight of two armies clashing with everything they had. In the middle of the chaos, Arik and Soraya ran, weaving through fire and smoke. Explosions lit their faces. Two shadows in a world collapsing around them. Arik's body screamed with pain from his wound, but his grip on his rifle stayed firm. Beside him, Soraya's glow dimmed with exhaustion, yet her hands still sparked, with power. They weren't soldiers anymore. Not really. They were just two people trying to survive. Together. At last, they stumbled into the broken remains of an old watchtower. Inside, dust and shadows offered brief shelter. Arik collapsed. Against the wall, breathing heavily. Soraya dropped beside him, her eyes scanning his wound. "You're bleeding again," she whispered. Arik chuckled weakly. "What else is new?" Her hands glowed as she tried to heal him again, her power trembling. Sweat ran down her face. "I can't. Not enough strength." Arik touched her wrist gently, stopping her. "Save it. You've done enough." Their eyes met in the dim light, his brown, scarred and weary. Hers, silver blue, full of fire and sorrow. For a moment, the war outside seemed far away. The sound of boots echoed. Human soldiers stormed into the tower, their rifles locked instantly. On Soraya. "Drop the weapon. Step away from the alien," their commander barked. Arik forced himself to stand, pain lancing through him. He raised his rifle, not at Soraya but at his own men. "Stand down," he growled. The soldiers froze, confusion flickering in their eyes. "Sir, she's the enemy." Arik's voice thundered, louder than the battle outside. "She saved my life. More than once. She is not your enemy. And if you want her dead, you'll go through me." Gasps of disbelief rippled through the soldiers. One lowered his weapon, then another. But the commander's eyes burned with fury. "You betray the Federation for this creature?" Arik stepped closer to Soraya, his body shielding hers. His voice was steady, unshaken. "I betray nothing. I fight for what's right, and right now she's my reason to fight." Soraya's breath caught, her eyes widened, shimmering with tears. The commander raised his blaster, finger trembling, with rage. "Then you're a traitor. Both of you die here." But before he could fire, Soraya stepped forward. Her glow burst bright once more, wrapping Arik in a shield of light. The blast struck, but her energy absorbed it, shattering the tower walls with a shockwave. The humans staggered back, blinded. By the time they steadied, Arik and Soraya were gone, fleeing into the smoke and ruins. They ran until their lungs burned, until the sounds of war grew faint. At last they reached a ridge overlooking the broken planet. The horizon was aflame, skies torn with battle. Soraya collapsed to her knees, exhausted. Arik dropped beside her. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally, Arik broke the silence. His voice was rough but softer than ever. "Why did you save me again?" Soraya looked at him, her eyes wet with tears. Because you saved me first. Because you showed me I could choose. And I choose you, Arik. Even if it means losing everything else. Arik's chest tightened. He had spent years building walls, burying emotions under duty. But here, with her, the walls crumbled. He reached out, touching her hand. Her fingers glowed faintly against his scarred skin. I chose you too, he whispered. For a moment, the world fell silent. No war, no armies, just two souls who should have been enemies, yet found something stronger. Their foreheads touched gently, a fragile connection born in fire. Not yet a kiss, not yet peace, but something far more dangerous to the war around them. Hope. In the distance, the battle raged on. Humans and Xyralians slaughtered each other, blind to the truth standing on this ridge. Arik and Soraya rose together, staring at the horizon. This war won't end today, Arik said quietly. No, Soraya agreed. Her eyes burned with new fire. But maybe it can end tomorrow, if we fight for it. Arik nodded, determination hardening his face. Not enemies, not anymore. Together, Soraya finished. They stood side by side, hands entwined, gazes fixed on the burning sky. Behind them, their worlds tore each other apart. But ahead of them, a different future waited. A fragile, dangerous future they would build together. The story of enemies was over. The story of lovers had just begun.